Hey guys, it's me Lunar, welcome back to another Playerunknown's video on Xbox One. Today I want to talk to you guys about some of the game controls and going over the settings to make sure you guys understand the weapons and how they work in game, and many of you are probably having issues with getting kills. I am too, and it's been a long time since I played a game and wasn't confident about winning 1v1 fights, but that is exactly what happens in PUBG. It's like that for most players right now, but anyone who has played on PC will know there are some things to get to grips with before you will start to see an improvement. So I guess the first thing I want to mention is that getting to know how to use your zeroing and how bullet arcs work. If you've played most FPS games, it's not something you've probably had to deal with. If you've sniped in, say, something like Battlefield 1, then it'll be something that's more familiar to you. Now, in an effort to make the game more realistic and more difficult, remember this isn't a game like Fortnite. The game was designed to be very challenging. The creators added zeroing distance. What that means is essentially, if your zeroing distance says 100 meters, and it tells you on every weapon what the zeroing is for that weapon, I've highlighted it on the screen for you guys so you know what to look for, then you should be able to hit a target that's 100 meters away dead on if you're aiming down your sights. If the target is 200 meters away and you fire dead on and your zeroing is only set to 100 meters, then the bullet is not going to reach them, it's going to fall short. So you will have to alter the zeroing distance of your weapon to 200 meters to hit 200 meters away. So it's a little all confusing, but it's really easy to understand once you get the grips with it. So I guess the next question would be, how do you know how far away 200 meters away is? Well, the map has a nice grid over it, which each square represents 100 meters, so you can easily find out what 100 meters looks like in the game, either by walking across the distance of one square, or you can look for landmarks on your map that are one square away, and then you can see how far away 100 meters is. So with zeroing, that means that bullets in PUBG have an arc to them, and you have to alter your zeroing distance by trying to roughly figure out how far a target is. So when you aim, that is where you will hit. But of course, in a live fight, that's a lot of work to do just to hit someone. You probably won't have time to figure out all this stuff, how far away they are, and have the time to change the zeroing and then aim and fire. So the best thing to do, unless you're playing a stationary sniper so you can set zeroing beforehand, then the best thing to do is to actually keep your zeroing distance of your weapon at default. And if you want to know how you actually change it, you have to aim, which is to double tap the left trigger, and then you can either press up or down on your D-pad while you're aiming. A lot of hassle to do, but that's how it's done. So when you get a gun, don't change the zeroing, but check out to see what it's set to at default. Rifles are usually around 100 meters, something like a pistol is set to 50 meters by default, and once you know the default zeroing, you then need to work out how far 100 meters is. So what I did was I found it easiest to just walk one square and see how far that was, and that's how far I would have to aim to hit a target dead on if I was aiming at them through my sights, and half of that for a pistol, because 50 meters would be half a square on your map. And the reason you want to keep your zeroing at default is you don't have time to adjust zeroing during a firefight. So you'll have to compensate for the distance another way, and that is to simply aim higher or lower. If you're using an assault rifle and you're set to 100 meters zeroing, and the target is much closer than 100 meters, they're only 25 meters away, then you will have to aim slightly down the way if looking through your sights. Otherwise, the bullet is going to go above the player. If a target is 200 meters away and you're set to 100 meters, you will have to fire slightly higher, or else your bullet's going to arc and hit the ground well short of 200 meters. So it's a lot more complicated than you probably first thought. If you expected this to be a simple point and shoot Call of Duty style game, then it's nothing like it. You have to put a lot of time to learn how to use the weapons properly, and each weapon type requires practice. Zeroing distances are different for different weapons. Different weapons have different amounts of arc to them as well, so it's a bit complicated. You should be able to get the hang of it with practice over time. Now, the final thing I want to talk about is what are the best settings. Well, don't take my word for it. The current #1 ranked player in North America posted his settings to Reddit, so I guess you shouldn't use what I'm using, you should use what he's using as he's much higher ranked. Now, I don't feel like you need to stick with this, but it's a good default place to start. Sensitivity settings can be subjective, but it's worth a try to see if you do improve. And it's also recommended that if you do adjust them, you should try making your sensitivity less before going higher. So the slower the sensitivity, the easier it seems to be to get kills. Now, general sensitivity settings are set to this: 8 for target sensitivity, and you want to have high sensitivity when you're moving and being able to see behind you quickly. 3 for scoping sensitivity, so there's not a lot of movement when you're looking down your scopes, and 3 for both ×2 and ×4 scopes, and finally your ×8 sensitivity should be set to 2. And to go along with this, he also gave a little bit of advice for when using these settings. At long range, so I'd say really anything 4 magnification or higher, then you should really only attack targets who are stationary. So you can aim down your sights and then wait for them to stop moving before firing. And of course, you'll have to take into consideration what we talked about earlier, your zeroing distance and the arc of the bullet. At really close ranges, so too close to use your scope, probably around 25 meters or closer, just hold down LT, don't double tap to aim down the sights, and stay in third person and just try and aim as best you can. At any mid-distance range, just try and hit people as normal, aim down your scope and shoot at any target that's moving. So guys, if you're struggling to get kills, and remember, kills for the first 25 minutes are not really that important, so if you see someone who's 100 meters away and it's only the first 5 minutes of the game, don't feel like you have to attempt to shoot them, just hide or go a separate way, as if you shoot and you don't get the kill, or even if you do, you're alerting people to where you are. And many times when I have shot someone just out in the open, I have then been shot at from behind myself after giving away my position. So lots of people will tell you that getting kills is important, but if you're not the best at shooting, then it's easy to get to the top 10 without killing anyone, and don't feel pressured into shooting people just because they're there. It is all about reaching that final 10, and to win, yes, you will probably need to get 3 or 4 kills. It would technically be possible with less, but it's unlikely, so practicing with your weapons is important, and hopefully you start to understand zeroing, and over time you might get more confident to kill people when you are outside of the final 10, but hopefully you start to understand zeroing more and bullet arcs, and hopefully those sensitivity setting changes help you out as well to get kills easier. Anyway, as always, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Be sure to leave a like below, guys. The support is greatly appreciated on the channel, so that would be really awesome. Subscribe if you're new around for similar videos to this one, and I will catch you guys next time with a brand new video. Peace out.